Oromia Magala, Toronto. Today's programs are as follows. I am Lensa Hussein.
Hi and welcome to TVOMT Magala Toronto. My name is Becamong and here are the headline news. Ethiopia's Muslims accuse government of religious meddling. Heavy combat between ONLF insurgents and Ethiopian forces. Ethiopian government's case against Muslim leaders collapses, exposing rifts within the system. 4 killed as Muslim protesters attack Ethiopian prison. Ethiopia's Muslims accuse the government of religious meddling. With hands clasped together as a symbol of unity, lines of Muslims gather under the beating sun outside Addis Ababa's Anwar Mosque after Friday prayers chanting Amin, Amin, or Thanks to God. They gather, as they all have this year, to protest what they call unconstitutional government interference in religious affairs. Heightened by the election of the Muslim leaders this month, the protesters say were not free or fair. 9 leaders remain in prison without charge, while 8 have been released but could face charges according to their lawyers. We have appointed jail leaders by putting our signatures to the paper, Zinu said, as fellow worshippers knelt in prayer. They are representatives of the Muslim community and they are innocent. They are not terrorists, so we want the government to free them all, he added. Ethiopia is a key Western ally in the fight against Islamic extremism in the volatile Horn of Africa region, including in neighborhood Somalia, where Addis Ababa invaded last year to battle al-Qaeda-linked Shabab militants. The demonstrations kicked off in January and have been held every month since, after many Muslims accused the government of unconstitutionally trying to impose the moderate al-Abash Sufi strain of Islam in Ethiopia. Protesters say clerics in schools throughout the country have been promoting al-Abash, a Lebanese import mostly alien in Ethiopia. This month, Ethiopia's new Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn said the government respected religious freedom, but the extremist groups were plotting unrest and that the authorities would take necessary measures to curb such acts. Protesters say they will continue to hold demonstrations until their jailed leaders are released and their concerns are addressed by the government. Heavy combat between ONLF insurgents and Ethiopian forces. Dagabur, or the RBC, heavy battle between the insurgents of Ogaden National Liberation Front, or the ONLF, and the Ethiopian forces has reportedly erupted at Wakai's Godel at the vicinity of Dagbor district of Western Somalia region under the Ethiopian administration. The battle broke out after the insurgents loyal to the ONLF have on Sunday ambushed a military convoy of Ethiopian army who were heading down to Dagbor town, killing dozens of soldiers, eyewitness told RBC Radio. The ambush fighting followed by another fierce clashes between the two sides. Both the Ethiopian force and the ONLF officials did not give the facts of the fighting. Meanwhile, reports from Dagbor district say that Ethiopian forces launched massive arrests in town following the ONLF insurgents' assault, which led to the arrest of more than 50 civilians, among them young women and old men. The mass arrest also spread to their locations including Mado town, which is a few kilometers away from Dagbor. The situation of the two towns were still in chaos as the Ethiopian forces imposed day and night curfews, banning the movement of people in cars coming into the region. Some of the families who have escaped from the homes are still in hideout in the fear of revenge acts of the Addis Ababa government forces. The tensions between ONLF insurgents and the Ethiopian forces broke out just a week after two sides failed to reach a peace deal from long-awaited talks meditated by the neighboring Kenya. The talks occurred after armed insurgents indicated they wanted to negotiate peacefully with Ethiopia but later withdrew from the talks, alleging that Addis Ababa administration has put hard conditions on the table for negotiations. ONLF, an ethnic Somali armed opposition, has been battling since 1984 to liberate the western Somali region from the Addis Ababa invasion. Ethiopia's government case against Muslim leaders collapses, exposing rifts within the system. The show trail of the leaders of the Ethiopian Muslim movement, formerly known as the Arbitration Committee, seemed to have come to a dramatic end. The leaders were arrested during the regime's heavy crackdown on the Muslim protests in mid-July. That is, they have been kept in jail without charge for over 10 weeks now. They appeared in court multiple times, but the prosecution kept dragging its feet, asking the court for extension. 2 weeks ago, the judge apparently had enough and warned the prosecution either to charge the accused or drop its case. Therefore, everyone has been looking forward to the October 24th, 2012 to see what will happen. Filled with suspense, families of the accused, defense lawyers, and spectators crammed the court from early in the morning. Missing were, however, the prosecutor, the police, and the accused prisoners. The judge came and called the case. Having waited for an hour, the judge pounded his gavel and announced that the pending case is closed and the accused must be freed from wherever they may be held. Whether the regime will abide by the court's ruling and release the prisoners is yet to be seen. Speaking to the Voice of America, Tamam Ababulgu, the lead defense attorney for the Muslim leaders, said he expects his clients to be freed tomorrow morning, as there is no legal ground to hold them after the case is closed. This rarely happens in Ethiopia, where the prosecutor cooks up false evidence at ease and the executive branch pushes the judiciary as it wishes. Predictably, people are confused and amused by the behavior of the prosecutor and the bravery of the judge. So what's happening? The cold-blooded murder of 5 civilians in the Wallo this past weekend have enraged the population, re-energizing the movement that is called for nationwide protest, the upcoming Eid Arafah prayer on Friday. Thus, the regime might be attempting to denounce the movement's momentum by spreading the news about the imminent release of its leadership. That is the velvet glove approach. It is not motivated by any change of heart, but rather emerged out of concern of should-known security crackdown failed to dampen the determination of the protesters. The government would be hard-pressed to seek humiliating compromise, which may further fuel rather than cool down the enthusiasm of the protesters for a more vigorous action. 4 killed as Muslim protesters attack Ethiopian prison. 4 people were killed in eastern Ethiopia when a group of armed demonstrators raided a police station following protests over alleged government interference in Muslim affairs, an official said on Monday. Thousands have staged weekly street protests and mosque sit-ins in the Horn of Africa's country capital for nearly a year, arguing that the government is promoting an alien branch of Islam, the Al-Abash sect, which is avowedly apolitical and has numerous adherents in the United States. The protesters say the government controls Ethiopia's highest Muslim body, the Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs, and has prevented long overdue elections that could bring alternative views to the council. Officials deny interference and accuse demonstrators of plotting to spread extremism in the country, which is 63% Christian and 34% Muslim. According to the official figures, the council had polls 2 weeks ago, but some members of the Muslim community had called for boycotts. Activists have posted pictures online of dead bodies and men with gaping wounds they said were sustained during the incident. Security officials rounded up several members of the protesters' committee a few months ago, and the majority of them are awaiting trial. Thank you for watching the news on TVOMT Magala, Toronto. My name is Becamong.
Right as it was before. Just look into the light when we pass the storm. I'm only being me, I ain't acting hard. I do it for my people, I ain't rapping bars. I mean it from the core when I speak these words. Oromos, we must emerge. All's up in my heart, so I trust it first. If you don't have belief on this corrupted earth, you live, then you die, buried under the dirt. In the time that you have, gotta figure your worth. So I figured if I put a couple words together, inspire the folk till we get together. Put away the pride, we can make it better. Just look into the sky, we can change the weather. All we need to be free. Oromos, be a tia. See what I see. injustice to man, how that sound to you? Rather fight to the death, can't bow to you. We just waiting for a land, time is so crucial. Been so many years, but it's coming though. The other day I met this lady walking in the store. Asked me where I'm from, said Oromia. Don't make me laugh, what is Oromo? You are Habasha. No, my population makes up the nation. No hesitation, tell the world, all the boys and the girls, your blood is who you are. Know it, devoted and focused. The plan is liberating 50 million people hoping. I'm not most Steph common and Talib Waleed. I'm more like Malcolm X, the way I protest to be free. Not what I see, but the shit that I need. I do it for my land if we all could agree. Business with my starts with the plan of a seed. Nourishing the plant till it grows to a tree. The other tree.
Hello, my name is Becamong and this is TVOMT Magala Toronto. In our article of the day section today, we have an article titled Becoming Part of the Social Network Revolution, and it is by the Oromos Press. Social media usage in political and civic engagement in nations like the United States is at an all-time high. As shown by the high volumes of tweets and Facebook updates during the 2012 U.S. presidential debates, the first U.S. presidential debate saw over 10 million tweets, which is the highest of all debates. During the third debate on foreign policy, the number of tweets fell to 6.5 million posts. The numbers tell us that Americans are using social media to support their favorite candidates and issues. The competition to tweet more among peers in a network is obviously visible. There was also tons of Oromos in diaspora who cared to tweet about the American presidential debates. For clarity, social media refers to interactive platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and numerous others by means of which individuals and communities create user-generated content or share content created by others. Broadly speaking, social media are used for personal, professional, and business purposes. A report produced by the Pew Research Center on the Internet indicates that the use of social media in political engagement is becoming a common practice in the United States. According to the survey, 4 in 10 American adults use social media for civic and political engagement. Specifically, current trends show that Americans have put social media to the following specific issues. Social media users have employed the platforms to post their thoughts about civic and political issues, react to others' posting, press friends to act on issues and vote, follow candidates, like and link to others' content, and belong to groups informed on social media networking sites. Watch the following short video clip on the power of networked individuals on 3 revolutions: Internet broadband revolution, the mobile connectivity revolution, and the social networking revolution.
I've written a book with sociologist Barry Wellman that argues that a big social change is underway. A new social operating system called network individualism is taking hold. We've gone from an era of industrial media to an era of networked media for networked individuals. People now are using their social networks for personal and professional reasons in ways that their ancestors could never have anticipated. There are 3 revolutions that we describe in the book that unfolded in the past generation. The first revolution is the internet broadband revolution. In the very first surveys of the Pew Internet Project, we saw that about half of American adults were online. Now it's 80%. It's changed the way they use their networks, learn things, and share things. They act very much like media companies, except they're on their own. They're networked individuals. The second revolution is the mobile connectivity revolution. Right now, 88% of Americans have cell phones and 46% have smartphones, so they understand that they can connect with people and media and data anytime, anywhere, if they carry around the right device in their pockets. The third revolution is the social networking revolution that's taking place inside technology. The arrival of places like Facebook or LinkedIn. More than half of Americans now use social networking sites to tell their stories, to build their networks, and to share in the social media revolution that's occurred. People are using these technologies to do something profoundly human. They're connecting with other people and sharing their stories. So they're not hooked on their gadgets, they're hooked on each other. We hope one of the most compelling things about this book is that it draws on data that's been gathered by the Pew Internet Project and Barry Wellman's Net Lab in Toronto to tell an empirical story as well as a broad social story about the change that's occurred. People get information in new ways now. They share information in new ways now. They use their social networks in new ways now, and it's a completely different media ecology from the one that just existed maybe a generation ago.
One cannot advocate that the Oromo and the other Horn of African peoples use the internet at the same rate or for the same purposes with the Americans. The empirical reality, such as the low-level penetration of the internet and low-level literacy and human rights conditions, among other factors, will obviously limit our ability to employ these technologies to their fullest potentials in the homeland Oromia. Internet penetration in the Ethiopian Empire stands at under 1%. To be exactly, only 0.5% of Ethiopia's population has access to the internet. Unfortunately, due to the culture of pervasive surveillance and the state's fear of the internet and media, besides economic reasons, Ethiopia is officially a technological laggard at the very tail of the most African nations. The rough estimates for the Oromos with access to internet is by far less than 0.5%, because internet access is limited, to urban business, academic, and political elites. The vast majority of Oromos live in the rural areas in Oromia, and there is no way they can use Twitter or Facebook. They have not even heard about them. The urban Oromos are under constant surveillance, even to use these communication technologies for personal networking reasons. The government restricts Oromos' access to the technologies for fear that they will use them in organizing a revolution. For that reason, one can estimate that internet penetration in Oromia can be the lowest of all regions of the empire. In other words, the Oromo are in digital darkness. In the diaspora, although exact figures don't exist, it is clear that more and more Oromos are globally networked on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. The key questions are, how effectively are the Oromos in the transatlantic diasporas using the internet to advocate on behalf of their people who suffer oppression in Oromia, Ethiopia? To what extent are social media used in social and civic engagement? If not, how are we going to try to bring the Oromo quest for freedom, justice, and self-governance in the 21st century by motivating more and more people to engage online creatively, not only within the group but beyond, with expatriates interested in the Horn of Africa? Shortcomings in diasporic Oromo and social media utilization. A random quick keyword search, which would be a hashtag on Twitter and Facebook, may reveal that there are only a few Oromo voices on social media who use them for political and civic engagement. A bulk of communication centers around personal usage as opposed to professional. Approximately the majority of young Oromo people who don't seem to be interested in politics or civic engagement for whatever reasons. In contrast, a search under the keyword Ethiopia reveals volumes of deliberate promotion of the current or past political status quo. Strategies going forward. We cannot just lament the scarcity and immaturity of Oromo civic and political engagement on social media. There are always ways we can increase Oromo presence on social media such as Facebook and Twitter. Indeed, the volume and quantity of information we put out on our people is likely to contribute to making the plight of the Oromo people known to the world. The less we do that, the less we get international attention, and the more Habasha control and dominate in the social media landscape in disseminating their politics and distortion and misinformation. The following are enumerated strategies to raise our social media presence. More youth and adults need to create Twitters, Facebooks, and YouTube accounts. Youth and adults need to recognize that social media have global impact on opinion making. Systematic use of social media is expected from diaspora, Oromo youth, and adults. Currently, keyword postings of messages or where hashtags serve as prefixes of keywords in posting, example, hashtag Oromia, hashtag Ethiopia, or hashtag Ethiopian rights, or hashtag human rights, show Oromo absence. When messages are hashtagged under issues such as human rights or geographic areas such as Oromia, Oromo, or Ethiopia, etc., other users interested in those keywords are likely to find them globally and to build on them. If preceded by the symbol, the pound or hashtag is key. Examples of hashtag keywords would be something like Oromo, Ethiopia, Oromia, Africa, human rights, social media, and so on. Hashtags help your post to be stored under keywords of your choice. You can really take time to think of what keywords will get your post more exposure and what keywords are relevant to what you are tweeting or saying. If you are tweeting about puppies, you may put it under hashtag puppy instead of the irrelevant keywords such as hashtag politics. Seasoned messaging is required in social media. Messaging how you say what you say, which will make all the difference. In the world, in interesting rather or disinteresting your audience. Stay on the positive and rational side of messaging. Where possible, combative and less substantive messaging, don't go far with readers of today. So, one of the best ways Oromos should communicate on social media is to reasonably make their points by supporting it with evidence or argumentation. Oromos should also look and point out the flaws in others' attacks on the other Oromos. Look for vulnerabilities in Abyssinian thinking and respond reasonably by refuting them. Sure, there are plenty of those vulnerabilities, especially knowing that Habasha elites thrive on fabrications. We should provoke others with wrong ideas about Oromos into rethinking their positions, instead of always being provoked into anger and going on the defense. We have responsibility to correct wrongs. Youth groups in Oromia must take pictures, videos of human rights abuses and share them with the media in the diaspora for further international exposure. The Kero, the National Youth Movement for Freedom and Democracy, for instance, has done an extraordinary job in documenting the arrests of over 200 Oromos at many Irecha sites in Oromia. This is clearly a progress because Kero documented human rights abuses in multiple media types, video, pictures, text, and audio mainly. This trend needs to be strengthened in Oromia. The youth in the diaspora must help the Kero information out by providing various forms of vetted assistance or resources. More work needs to be done in Oromia, where Oromo Muslims are also killed for peacefully standing up for the religious freedoms, rather. Oromo students and intellectuals must come out and publish articles and opinions on the internet, including submitting articles to reputable magazines, websites, and newspapers of the West. A concerted effort must be made to create a few media networks in addition to expanding and creating new blogs and websites. In conclusion, these are some thoughts on how to effectively use social media to affect social change. Obviously, the research done does not warrant making all the recommendations, but it is high time that we turn social media to the Oromo advantage, to engage in civic and political issues creatively in the 21st century. There's a lot we can learn from social media usage in the political and civic engagement in the United States. It is hoped that this stimulates more thoughts and, more importantly, sparks more actions from our audience. Here at TV Oromia Magala Toronto, we are doing our part in utilizing social media for all of our media productions and other communications. For instance, I can personally reach more than 70,000 of my Twitter followers at the click of a button at twitter.com/notbultum. To follow TV Oromia Magala Toronto, over here you can subscribe to us on Facebook. Right over here you can follow us on Twitter. And over here you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, the above article is from the Oromo Press. Thanks for watching TV Oromia Magala Toronto's article of the day. I'm Bultum Omer and I'm signing off. We here at TVOMT Magala Toronto would like to extend a very happy and pleasant birthday wish to Robera Nure, who is turning 17, and Lensa Ahmed, who is also turning 14. War on religions or war on Oromos? Is this the Ethiopian government's best response to an old age problem, or is it the ultimate formula needed by diaspora Oromo communities to create a new political playing field? Disturbing bureaucratic violence seems to be the inaugural hallmark depicted by the new Ethiopian government. This week, harrowing pictures of peaceful protesters broken by what appears to be the relentless torture were released online to dismayed bloggers and frightened Ethiopian citizens. These unofficial pictures served a chilling warning from the government to the people. We will beat you before you even think to beat us. Propelled by Zenawi's legacy of silencing the Oromo population majority makes you question whether this is truly a war on religions or a war on Oromos. The regime has continued clamping down dissidents in ways similar to the late Zenawi attacks. The first official arrest occurred on April 6, 2012, post a protest against Ethiopian government's implementation of its own transformed religion of Islam. This protest occurred in Western Arsi, Gabab Asasa district, Oromia. As a result of the citizens' freedom of speech, 224 innocent people were arrested and 4 people were killed. At first glance, the problem appears to be around religion, rather. Apparently, indeed, it seems to be the Ethiopian government wants to instruct the religious choice of nearly half of the country's population. Ironically, this very population also happens to be predominantly Oromo. The ethnic majority of the Ethiopian government has tried and failed to systematically wipe out for more than 100 years. Using the sneaky, underhanded guise of fighting Islamic fundamentalism, on the world platform, religious appears to be the government's new political game to divide, conquer, and silence the Oromo people. Recently, on September 30th, 2012, the Oromo Thanksgiving Day was celebrated in Oromia. 52 innocent people, some of whom followers of the Wakefana indigenous Oromo religion, were arrested by armed Ethiopian officials. The reasons as to why they were arrested is not unfamiliar with the Oromo ethnic group. Nonsense reasons, such as wearing incorrect colors patterning, red, green, red, to symbolize the Oromo resistance movement, have been the motivation for the arrests. On the 21st of October 2012, similar protests occurred in the city of Garba Wallo, Oromia. Again, unsurprisingly, Ethiopian government opened fire and killed 2 protesters. However, these attacks questioned the legitimacy of the new leadership and diminished the hope to the citizens having a generally democratic government. While the physical beatings seemed to do little for the government, except to increase protesters' conviction and generate global outrage, the government's beatings also bear little on the conviction of the Oromos living in diaspora. Unlike those ruled by the Ethiopian government, the Oromo people in diaspora have the right to voice their opinions and concerns, and the ability to consistently lobby our respective governments and our public in everyday life. Communities such as the Australian Oromo Community Association in Victoria are actively busy and vocally rallying for freedom of speech and human rights on behalf of Oromia. It is easy to violently beat up people on an uneven playing field, but as Oromos living in this diaspora, we have a voice which can be heard. A voice which will not be silenced. A voice which is frequently being heard. A voice that can mobilize global traction. We are the voice of the voiceless Oromo people. Once again, this was an article and a statement by Aisha Ali, the president of the Oromo Association in Victoria. Thank you for watching Community TV Oromia Magala Toronto. My name is Becamong and I'm signing off.
Barin darba, barin darbu sete barin darba. Margi kalo, margi sete margi kalo. Barin darba, barin darbu sete opsi ballo. Tushi malale tani yo ta ude de kawwe tani